You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a charm, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag
For what?
with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club,
Why?
buy some bottles, impress them girls.
what?
It's more than life.
Oh, fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And who dat? And we're coming at you with some more main course here. So it's Saints related, it's Saints news, and wow, I realize now that it's like the off season that I take like a week break in between shows. I only do like one show a week, and you would think. It's the off season, it's training camp, the first preseason game is coming up. You'd think that there really wouldn't be that much news or anything that exciting going on in the Saints organization. But as long as I've been a fan of the Saints, I should know better. I should know better. Haven't been a podcaster as long as I've been a Saints fan, but I should know better. It's never a dull moment at being a Saints fan. And what I'm talking about there as I'm talking about the highs and lows that this team has experienced just in the span of like 4 or 5 days. They've had some really ups, and then right after it's all come crashing down. But anyways, let's kind of get into what I'm talking about here. If you've been following the Saints and you're a dedicated Saints fan, you already know what I'm talking about with the excitement that's come and then the stress that's come right after. So anyways, can I get a menu? And the first thing I'm talking about is, I guess it was on Friday. It was Friday that the news broke about what Alvin Kamara was going to be suspended for. We found out that he was only going to be suspended for 3 days. And I said when he went and talked to Roger Goodell about wanting to do a face-to-face apology, like I didn't think that was really going to help all that much, but maybe it did. Maybe it did, because I thought he was going to get at least 3 games, or at least 4 games suspension, but then only getting 3. So as Saints fans, like I'm saying, if you really follow the game and kind of understand it, hey, that 3 games is nothing. That's a win. That's a big win in my opinion. So after that happened, I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. 3 games. I think the Saints can get through that, and I think he's allowed to play in the preseason game. So expect Dennis Allen to probably ride him and play him a little more than you expect. So he gets to play in those 3 games. He gets to play in the home game against the Chiefs, and then he gets to play in the away game against the Chargers, and then he gets to play in the Texans game, the home game against the Texans. But the games that he'll miss are the Tennessee Titans, which, they have a pretty good defense. That would have been probably a nice game to have him for. So, that stings. That stings. And then Carolina is the next game that they play, and that they've been having a good defense the last year or two, and they swept the Saints last year. So, you got to think about that. That stings a little bit. And then the third game is the only one of those games that's a home game is the game against the Titans. So that the Panthers game is away, and then the third game that he'll miss is an away game in Green Bay against Green Bay, Lambeau Field. And that one's a little bit more of an unknown. I don't think Packers defense has really been great the last couple of years, and now they're going to be starting Jordan Love. So you can come out of this 2-1 and then getting back and go on a little bit of a run, then I think they'll be all right. But we know what it is now, and like I said, I didn't think apologizing, any kind of face-to-face conversation with Roger Goodell would help, but maybe it did. But here's what Alvin Kamara had to say about it. He had a little bit of another apology other than the one that he sent the written and signed apology to his attackee, I guess, which I didn't think was very authentic. I didn't think he even typed it up, and all he did was put a typed signature on it. Nothing too serious or genuine in my opinion. But this is what he had to say. This is another apology, and I guess you'd have to watch it for yourself to decide how genuine you think it was. But it's just, I think he's something you just want to get past whether he's genuine or not. But he said, poor judgment on my end, definitely a bad decision, but I'm a man. Anything I've done in my life, I've stood on and I can take accountability for. I can say when I'm wrong, and I'm completely wrong. I embarrass the Saints. I embarrass my family and my mother. I embarrass myself. I embarrass the city and the Shield. Obviously, I'm embarrassed the NFL. I mean, that's just kind of, at least he put it out there and just didn't say anything or was cocky about it and be like, oh, the guy deserved it. But, this is kind of player speech, coach speech, but, it's over with. I think Saints fans should be happy that he only got 3 games, and let's just move past that. So, let's see. And then the next thing that, I said it was an up. So I think Saints fans were probably up from that point, And then I think it was Friday as well that Cam Jordan signed his extension, which everyone was kind of waiting in the wings, waiting for that to drop, and Cam Jordan, he was very professional through the whole thing. He wasn't holding out or not practicing during the whole time. I think just on Fridays during this time he was had veteran rest days, which I think a lot of Saints players are having veteran rest days, like Tyrann Matthews and Ryan Ramczyk. So that's normal. That's not a big deal that he's not practicing every single day that they have a practice. And so this is nice to see. He talks about how he wanted to finish his career here and how he's really just made a niche and a family and a home for him here, and he just wants to finish his career. And this contract now, he still had 1 year left on the 3-year deal that he signed. I guess that would have been in 2019, and that was 52.5 million then, and I think that's like an average of like 17 and a half a year. So he signed a 2-year extension, so that should get him through the year 2025, I think. Yeah, so 23, 24, and 25. So he'll be a Saint at least through then. And he's already 33 years old. So he'd be 36, 37 by the end of this contract. There's been some defensive ends that have continued playing up close into their 40s, 38, 39, like Cameron Wake and Julius Peppers. Well, Cam Jordan is a beast. He's a workout warrior. He has great nutritionist and knows how to stay at the highest level. So it'll be, just have to wait and see if he's still playing by 2025, 2026, and if the Saints will want to give him another extension. But the extension he signed here was it's just a 2-year extension, and it was worth 27.5 million over the next 2 seasons, and that actually helps the Saints. So he honestly is taking a pay cut, because the average per year for his contract he signed in 2019 was 17 and a half, and this is only 13 and a half, I think. I'm not sure, maybe just 13. Let's see. Yeah, so it's like 13.75 million. So this helps the Saints. This probably lowers his cap hit and helps the Saints overall cap. So, you're a Saints fan, you're a Cam Jordan fan, you got to be happy about this. So this is over and out of the way. You don't have to worry about any kind of conflict between one of your all-time great players. So that's awesome. So like I was saying, you are already up here. You're already up here after the Alvin Kamara suspension news broke and it not being as bad as anyone expected it to be. And then you get this out of the way. You re-sign one of your best players of all time, and hope that this leads to him retiring as a Saint, and puts up a couple more good seasons. Cam Jordan could end up being a Hall of Famer, and should be, rightfully so, should be. So, like I said, if you're a Saints fan after Friday or on Friday, man, you had to be feeling good. But that came to a screeching halt. That came to a screeching halt on Saturday when it seemed like almost every Saints player got injured. Like the injury bug came after the Saints. Uh, and I'll just go after it. I'll just go over it real quick. So Demario Davis went in for imaging on his calf. So Demario Davis, one of your all stalwart players on defense, veteran leaders and voice of the locker room, goes down with a calf injury, and he's been an Iron Man over his career, just like Cam Jordan, never missing any games. But then he goes down because of this, and you're thinking, oh, you got to kind of worry about that once players get up into their 30s, their mid 30s. Cam Jordan, 34. I think Mario Davis is 34, 33, 34 as well. So, how long could something like that linger? And I believe calf injuries, depending on the severity of them, can linger probably all season if you continue to play on it, or it could flare back up once you think it's all healed and it's not. And it can lead to calf injuries. They can lead to Achilles injuries as well. I think anyone that follows any kind of NBA knows that's exactly what happened to Kevin Durant, playing in that playoff game with a calf strain, and then he tore or ruptured his Achilles. So yeah, so they over the last few days, Demario Davis has been held out of practice. All right, and then still on the same day, Saturday, there's two more players, but a little different injury, but can be just as bad. Rashid Shaheed and Traquan Smith both left with a groin injury. So the piling on the injury bugs, and like I said, you were up here after the Cam Jordan news and the Alvin Kamara news, but then you just free fall after hearing about these injuries. So, Rashid Shaheed, we thought big things for Rashid Shaheed, and Traquan Smith. Hard to understand why he's still on the team, but don't ever want to see a player get hurt. So now, what is the severity of groin injury? Groin injury can be just as bad. A player can miss 6 to 8 weeks with a groin injury, especially if they end up going and having some kind of surgery for it. Hernia surgery. That's what it's been weird over the course of Saints history, is that you'll hear a player gets a groin injury, and then after that they go and get like a hernia mesh surgery, or just a hernia surgery. So it can go from, oh, it's just a slight groin injury, to you got to have surgery on it now. So yeah, and then still continuing with the injuries that happened on Saturday, Brian Bresee, your first round pick of 2023, defensive tackle, you're probably going to have to rely on him, because there really aren't the free agents that the Saints signed, the defensive tackles, Colin Sanders and the player for the Jets. Those guys aren't really like pass rushers. They're not really like three technique defensive tackles, similar in the mold of like Demario Davis, who isn't here anymore. Like, you're probably going to need some interior push from Brian Bresee. He goes down with a calf injury. So he has a calf injury, same injury as Demario Davis, but apparently it wasn't as bad because I think he's already been in practice. So that's a big relief at least. But then the worst one comes, and it's Eno Benjamin. I guess he'd have been the Saints' third or fourth running back, and he ruptured his Achilles. So it's just the story's over with him. The season's done. It's over. There's nothing you can do about that. So he's gone for at least a year now, and that hurts the Saints' depth a little bit at running back because they have a pretty nice stable of three running backs with Alvin Kamara, Jamal Williams, and Kendra Miller. But you're going to miss Alvin Kamara for the first three games, so you still kind of need that third running back, unless you have like a elite fullback, which the Saints don't. I think they have Michael Burton maybe is their fullback. So they don't really have that. So after all that happened, they're kind of searching for a running back, and maybe searching for a linebacker. And what I'm talking about there is it came rumors, shortly after that happened. It may have been on like Sunday. You heard rumors of the Saints wanting to have Anthony Barr and Kareem Hunt in for visits, and those are all big time names. Everyone's heard of those names. Anthony Barr was a stalwart linebacker for Minnesota Vikings for years, but then he's a free agent now. So Saints taking a look at him at 31 years old, which can't say too much about age because the main player that's hurt and out is around that age, is even older than Anthony Barr. But players age differently, and some players they're washed by the time they're 29, and then the other players are good all the way until they're almost 39. So you don't really know what quality or how good Anthony Barr would be. But so you hear about that, and then you hear about Kareem Hunt, who's had kind of a odd career. He was came in second place in 2017. He came in second place for Offensive Rookie of the Year to Alvin Kamara. So it would be kind of weird if the Saints would have signed him or sign him, that the Saints would have three running backs from the 2017 draft, because they'd have Alvin Kamara, they would have had Jamal Williams, and then they would have had Kareem Hunt. So that would have been an odd development. But you also hear about him. So he had the domestic abuse scandal and all that, and people cracking jokes about him and Alvin Kamara possibly being on the same team. Whatever. That happened all the way back in 2018, and since then he's wasn't with the Chiefs anymore. The last couple of years he's been with the Browns, and put up okay numbers, being the second back to Brad Chubb. So he was never getting the bulk of the carries, having to play behind Chubb for most of the time. But he put up some respectable numbers. But so you're hearing, so I'm thinking that was on Sunday, you're hearing that both of those guys are going to come in for a visit. And I'm thinking to myself, when I think about that these are, two high-profile name guys that it'd probably be better for them to wait. Maybe wait until even the season starts, or farther into training camp and preseason before they sign with a team, because maybe a big-time starter on a team will go down, which is kind of what the Saints are possibly dealing with Demario Davis. But, just kind of hold out a little bit so they could get as much money as they can. And, why would either one of those players want to come to New Orleans and practice in this 120-degree heat with 100% humidity? Why would they want to do that when they could probably wait until the last preseason game, or maybe even week one before they sign? But I found it a little hard to believe that they were going to sign, that the Saints were going to sign him right away. I didn't think it was going to happen in the next week. But then come Tuesday, a couple days later, after hearing about it breaking that they're going to come in for a visit on Sunday, or that those visits are going to happen on Sunday. Tuesday comes around, and I'm just doing my thing, checking Saints news in the morning and getting ready for a job interview and stuff like that. And I see that Diana Rossini says that both Anthony Barr and Kareem Hunt, if they pass their physical, are going to sign with the Saints, and that both of them had a good workout and physical, and not physical, but both had a good workout with the Saints and had a good visit with them. And I'm just like, I'm kind of blown away. I'm kind of stunned by it. But hearing that they still have to pass their physicals and things like that before they sign kept me a little. I was a little off guard, a little off put by that, because I was thinking, I know how the Saints' luck is, that both of them will probably miss their physical or fail their physical, and the Saints won't be able to sign them. And then, so after my job interview and all that, an hour or so later, I look back on, Saints Twitter, Saints X, I guess they're calling it now. It's not a little birdie anymore, and I see that both of them are not going to be signed by the Saints. That both of them are going to go visit other teams and look to get better deals. Essentially, I think Kareem Hunt hopped on a plane right away to go to Indianapolis, and I think you're hearing rumors and things that he didn't even visit with the Saints. That he just the Indianapolis Colts called him and told him, don't visit with the Saints. Come and see us. We'll pay you more guaranteed money. And similar thing with Anthony Barr. I guess he's going to go see what the New York Giants have to offer. So, and this all came from a Diana Rossini tweet. So, man, she's lost quite a bit of credibility in the Who Dat Nation for making a statement like that, and then it just come all crashing down. So I don't know who her sources are, but she may need to be looking for some better ones. So that's my perfect example of how the last few days of Saints training camp and just Saints news have been up and down, up and down. I mean, for however long you've been a Saints fan, you should probably be used to it by now. But the forever and ongoing and ultimate saga, it just continues. But just got to take it in stride. And who knows, Kareem Hunt or Anthony Barr, they may still sign possibly, but it sounds like the Saints had a price that they were willing to pay them. And with how the Saints have a lot of depth at positions. I mean, they still have the depth at running back. They're a little hurt. They're probably thinnest at linebacker, so it's a little surprising that they let Anthony Barr get out the door. But there's still other guys out there. I personally, with linebackers that are still available, I would like to have Rashawn Davis or Rashawn Evans, who actually played for the Falcons, I believe, last year, and he had like 158 tackles. Not saying that just because a linebacker has a lot of tackles means that they're good or anything. Everyone knows about Stephon Anthony in his rookie year. He had 100 tackles that season, but I wouldn't say that he was good. So just because you have a lot of tackles doesn't mean that you're a great player. It just may mean that you're getting in there late and you're racking up a bunch of assisted tackles, or the defense is terrible and you're just the last line of defense. But I still would like Rashawn Evans over Anthony Barr, because I think Anthony Barr, he's 31 years old, and Rashawn Evans is only 27 and will be 28 this year. So I would prefer him, honestly, because once you get up in that 30 range, over 30, injuries start to persist. But like I said, just taking these week breaks in between doing a podcast or breaking any kind of Saints news, man, it's just all over the place. You're feeling pumped up, like the team is set up as best as it possibly could, and then it just comes all tumbling down. But anyways, Saints fans, who dat? I think that's all I have for you. So who dat? And can I get a check, please?